If I sound tired, it's because I am, and to be honest, I don't know how Saitama was able to do 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, and a 10-kilometer run every single day, because I just came back from the gym and I'm completely finished. I can't feel my legs anymore. But that's actually pretty convenient, because in this video we're actually going to be talking about Saitama, but I don't think many of you will like the topic of this video, because it's actually about Saitama's death and whether or not Saitama could die at the end of One Punch Man. Now, this video is actually unscripted, and to be completely honest, I've gotten so comfortable doing unscripted videos, because these videos, they are so much quicker to make than, scripting the video, coming up with the script, I guess, instead of, just speaking from my mind, which, to be honest, I prefer anyway. But before we start this video, make sure you leave a like on the video, because it helps me out a lot and helps the video out a lot in the algorithm. And, subscribe if you're new to the channel, because I post a lot of One Punch Man content, and to be honest, I just post whatever's popular at the moment. But with that being said, let's just get into the damn video. Now, when talking about Saitama's death, I definitely don't think it's going to be anytime soon, but I definitely feel like it's a possibility that could happen, and I actually think it's kind of like a 50-50. Because first of all, I don't really feel like One Punch Man is a series that's gonna end anytime soon, but I don't think it's going to be extremely long, like One Piece, or maybe not even up to One Piece level. I don't think One Punch Man, in terms of the manga, will be over like 400 chapters. I would say One Punch Man is about like a 300 chapter type of series, or maybe it's more, I don't know. I'm not Murata, I don't write or illustrate One Punch Man. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but to me, it doesn't feel like One Punch Man is an extremely short series, but I don't think it's very long either. So with that being said, so far it hasn't really been hinted to Saitama dying, so that probably means he won't be dying anytime soon, or maybe he won't be dying at all. But in terms of the things that I feel like could kill Saitama, I would say there's like about two options or two scenarios that could happen that could lead to Saitama's death. Now, the first scenario, I guess, would probably be Saitama being defeated by someone that is just stronger than him, and so far we know Saitama is obviously the strongest character in the series, so that scenario is very unlikely, but it's definitely not impossible. And I feel like as we progress further in the One Punch Man series, we get introduced to characters that are even stronger than the last. Like, for example, in the manga we just got introduced to God, but it's quite unclear what God's motives are at the moment, so we can't really call God an antagonist or a villain, but he definitely doesn't seem like he's on Saitama's side or even on the villain side. But I will actually be going into webcomic spoilers in this video, so skip to the time frame on the screen that will show up right about now. So as all of us webcomic readers know, God is kind of like an anti-hero or an anti-villain, or I actually don't know. He doesn't really seem like an antagonist, but from what he's done, or what it has done so far, it seems like it does favor the villain side more than the heroes, because as we all know, God did give powers to Homeless Emperor, but he did say that Homeless Emperor should know what to do with the powers that God gave to him. But it seems like Homeless Emperor is kind of going about it in a way that's going to exterminate the entire human race. I'm not too sure if that's what God exactly wants. And even in the webcomic, it's shown that God actually takes Homeless Emperor's powers away and actually kills him. But it does seem that God's motives are it's very grey. It's not black and white. It's not like God is good or God is bad. He's in quite a grey area at the moment in terms of the One Punch Man story, and his general motives are just really unclear. So it's very hard to call him a hero or a villain. But anyway, back to what we were talking about earlier. Even though God was introduced in the manga recently, it doesn't really mean he's going to be the death of Saitama, because Saitama, for all we know, could end up just defeating God in one punch like he does to any other villain. But in terms of, I would say, the possible characters that could beat Saitama or kill Saitama, I feel like God is still up there, but I don't feel like it's 100%, or it's even very likely that God could kill Saitama. because as I said in previous videos, I've mentioned this in multiple other videos, but Murata's sketch of Saitama standing on God just kind of implies that Saitama is just stronger than God, and there's nothing, you know, that is really stronger than Saitama in the entire universe. But, you know, it's still quite gray, it's still quite unclear what that sketch meant, but that's, you know, what pretty much I can imply from it. But it could very well mean that, you know, God is on the same level of Saitama or is even stronger than Saitama. We still don't know. But I feel like at the moment there's no characters apart from God that could kill Saitama, because God is a supernatural entity, and I'm not too sure if Saitama could defeat an entity like God, because God in general isn't, you know, it's not physically conceivable. It's not like Saitama can just punch God. It depends on, you know, what God decides to, you know, appear as. Because as I've theorized in a previous video, and I'm pretty sure that video is God unbeatable, and I actually mentioned that God could just be using kind of like a meat puppet or just some kind of puppet that he controls instead of, you know, showing his real form, because for all we know, God could not really have a real form. From the religious definition, God isn't really physically conceivable. He's more of an idea than something that can actually be seen or conceived, I guess. So I'm not too sure if Saitama could be able to kill God in that sense, and it's definitely possible for God to kill Saitama because he is a supernatural entity, but I don't feel like that's really what one is going for One Punch Man, but it's still very unclear. Now, the second scenario I thought, you know, that could kill Saitama is just general old age. We could see like a time skip maybe in One Punch Man, and we could see Saitama just die of old age, which to be honest would be pretty boring, and I don't really think one would, you know, take that route for the One Punch Man story or for the fate of Saitama. But it's definitely possible, but I really wouldn't like it if that was the case. But I would I would prefer Saitama's death or the end of One Punch Man to be a lot more, you know, exciting, a lot less anticlimactic. But I guess it's down to one, but I still feel like Saitama dying isn't necessarily out of the picture, and I feel like if anything or anyone was to kill Saitama, it would be God. And at the moment in the One Punch Man story, I'm pretty sure all the readers or watchers have established that Saitama is suffering a form of depression, and he's not able to really, you know, push himself or surpass limits and really find a challenge, which, you know, led him to being depressed and just being numb to the world in general. And I feel like that could play a part in his death, because Saitama's dream is to face someone that is strong enough for him to, you know, feel something. He wants to feel something when he's fighting. So that is, you know, I guess his goal or his dream. So I feel like at the end of One Punch Man, we could see a character that, you know, maybe newly introduced that could push Saitama to his very limit and be the person that kills Saitama or the entity that kills Saitama. I don't feel like it's going to be Blast, but I definitely feel like we could be introduced to a character that pushes Saitama to his limits and essentially just gives Saitama what he's always wanted, a challenge, and, you know, in turn that kills Saitama. But Saitama, I guess, is happy that he was at least able to find a challenge, because at the end of the day, the whole theme of One Punch Man, or I guess not really the theme, but Saitama's end goal is to find a challenge that, you know, would push him to his limit. And if a character or a newly introduced character that could be introduced in the future of One Punch Man could do that for Saitama, I'm pretty sure his death would be, I feel like it would be a lot more emotional than many people think, because Saitama in general is presented as quite, you know, a nonchalant, dumb, you know, kind of character. But I feel like if he does die at the end of One Punch Man, it would be a lot more emotional than people think, because when Saitama does eventually, you know, achieve his end goal, he will feel some sort of satisfaction even though he's, you know, dead. But I feel like those are kind of, I guess that's the third scenario, but I guess those are kind of three scenarios that could lead to Saitama's death. Of course, this isn't confirmed or anything. This is just me theorizing. This is just me, you know, just speaking my mind at the moment, to be honest. As I said earlier, this video is unscripted, and I feel like these three scenarios are possible, but, you know, it could end up not happening at all. I really don't know at the moment, because one, It's not clear where one is going with One Punch Man, but I feel like the fact that we don't know where One Punch Man is going is a pretty good sign. And to be honest, that's pretty much it for this video. If you liked the video, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe with notifications turned on and set to all. And apart from that, I will see you in my next video.